Hey there, welcome to Technability. I'm Berge. We have a great comparison here for you guys. We got the Samsung Galaxy S4 versus the Apple iPhone 5S. Both you can see are white. We're going to go ahead and get started with the specs on both of these devices, and then we're going to get into comprehensive detail of both software. Obviously they're very different in many ways, but in many ways they're also very similar. So to get started with the Galaxy S4, you can see right here, this is a 5-inch screen, Super AMOLED 1080p, that's 1920 by 1080p, rendering 441 pixels per inch. That's a high number, guys. 441 pixels per inch is really good, even for a 5-inch display. You can see the sides of the device. You have this finish right here, this metallic finish, at least in color, it's silver. You can see right here up top, you have the 3.5mm headphone jack. You also have the IR blaster, which doubles up as a remote control. You have the air view and air scroll feature up here, right next to the proximity sensors, along with the front-facing camera, menu button, back button, and home. And of course, if you turn it around, you got the back of the Galaxy S4, which has the 13-megapixel camera with flash, plus the speaker right here, S4 logo, Samsung right here. The device in measurement is, I believe it's 7.9 millimeters in thickness, which is very, very thin, specifically for a device of this size. You're talking about a 5-inch display. Now, in terms of internal specs, you have a 1.9 gigahertz Snapdragon 600 processor with 2 gigs of RAM. So this is a very, very powerful device. Now, yeah, they have Snapdragon 800 processors currently on the market, but in terms of just day-to-day use and having a very fast, very fluid, very smooth Android experience, the Snapdragon 600 processor is where it's at. The HTC One also has the same processor, but it's clocked in at 1.7. Now here's the iPhone 5S. This was just released. Now, of course, the S model iPhones are usually refreshes of the previous generation handset. So you can see right here, it's pretty much similar to the iPhone 5, except you have the Touch ID sensor, which we'll get into. See the size of the device. You have a metal unibody aluminum finish. You got the lightning port down below with the speaker, microphone, 3.5mm headphone jack, SIM card slot, volume rockers and vibrate mode. You have the power button up top. On the back, you can see metal. You got glass up here, which also doubles up as an antenna. And you have the dual LED flash with 8-megapixel camera. So both devices are very appealing in terms of their size, in terms of the way they look and feel in the hand. Both of them feel really good in the hand. I know a lot of people, have their own complaints about either or. Metal isn't as durable, it gets damaged quick. Plastic, it's not as high quality. But they both have their own. Certain appeal about them, basically. And the good thing about the S4 is that you have a removable backplate. You can always buy third-party backplates. They have them in metal, they have the flip covers, and you have a removable battery plus a micro SD expansion card slot, so you can add more storage to this thing. Whereas with the iPhone, you have the option of a 16, 32 and 64 gigabyte model, and of course they have the gold and black one as well. And with the with the Galaxy S4, you have the white one as well as the blue one. Now they have the gold one that just came out as well, so that's pretty cool. Now again, you can see the front of the device on both of them. You have the home button right here, which for a lot of Android purists, the home button isn't conventional for a lot of other devices. For Samsung, they like to utilize the home button right here in the middle, which is really convenient. And you can see right here with the iPhone, you also have the Touch ID sensor, which does also work as a home button, so you can actually push down on it. A lot of people are asking whether or not you can actually push down on it. You could. And of course, same here with the Galaxy S4. Now, right off the bat, these look similar. So tell me exactly, who took design cues from who? Now people say that Samsung initially took design cues from Apple, and now people are saying that Apple took design cues from Samsung. And this is using Samsung TouchWiz with Android 4.2.2. So again, it's a matter of perception, I suppose. But right here you have iOS 7.0.2, and of course with the new iOS 7 update, you got this whole minimalist UI, minimalist look and feel, minimal icons. You have developers now who are basically updating their icons to match the whole minimal feel of the OS. You can see the folders. It's very animation heavy. That's the whole thing with iOS 7. Very animation heavy, but at the same time, they've kept it minimal. And if I just go ahead and zoom in here on the icons, you can see not many shadows or gradients. You don't get too many skeuomorphics. So in that sense, it's very minimal, but at the same time, it's familiar. To those who have utilized iOS in the past, this is a familiar system. There are a few changes. You have the control center now, as you can see, where Apple basically gives you various different toggles that they feel you're likely to utilize. These are not customizable. I repeat, these toggles are not customizable. Now, maybe in the future with Jailbreak, they may give you the ability to customize these, but for now, they're not customizable. And you can see up here on the control center, you could just swipe away, you could swipe over, and it's gesture based, which is really cool. So you got that gesture based system. And of course, if you want to X out of a notification, here, you just have to push clear. All right. Someone right there talking about Breaking Bad tonight, which is the finale. So again, there are a few changes and a few additions, and we'll get into the lock screen in a second. You can see here with the Galaxy S4, you have Android 4.2.2 with touchwiz. Now, the person who gave me this phone, shout out to Varo, he customizes his phone to run fast. So the way he does that, he goes into the developer options and he changes the window animation scale, the transition scale. He changes all those speeds. And if you check out one of our videos that we have on how to speed up your Android phone, you too can get your phone as quick as this Galaxy S4 right here. You can see opening folders is ridiculously fast. Going into the app drawer is immediate. Okay, and just pinching in, it's immediate. If I want to change my wallpaper, so if I just do this, I can go to home and lock screen. You can see it's quick. Everything's super fast, super responsive, lightning quick. Here you have the quick settings panel, which basically gives you all of the various Galaxy S4 features, which again we'll get into in a moment. So you can either bring that down by using 2 fingers, or you can simply just take your finger and drag that down and bring down the notification center. Now the thing I like about Android is that you can swipe away notifications, whereas with iOS, you gotta put that little X. So that's a little difference right there. And I would prefer if iOS actually implemented that feature, because they do have a very gesture heavy OS with iOS 7. So I do like the ability to swipe away notifications. But now let's go into the lock screen of both. All right, you can see they both have the same wallpaper, so they look very similar, but in the sense of both lock screens, they're quite different. Now obviously with Android, you've always had the ability to bring down the notification bar, you've always had the ability to bring down the quick settings panel while you're in the lock screen. Now, what does that mean? That means that you can go and change various different settings and features. You can also go into your notifications, check your notifications, reply to a notification. You can increase and decrease your brightness. And of course, if you want to just unlock the device, you just swipe anywhere on the screen. You get that nice little animation as well. Now here with iOS, it's a little bit different. And it's different than iOS 6. Why? Because now you have the ability to bring down the notification center while you're in the lock screen. You didn't have that ability before. And you also have the ability to bring up your control center. Now there's also the option to disable the control center in the notification in the lock screen if you so please, because there were a few people complaining about security holes in relation to accessing certain apps through the control center. Now they just sent out an update to resolve that. So you'll see if I go to camera here, now I have the ability to shoot a photo, but I can't actually go and look at my photos, which is good because you don't want people going in and sharing your photo with your various different social networking account. And if you click on home, it sends you right back to the lock screen. And obviously if I swipe my finger over to the left as such, nothing happens. You can bring up the camera by just doing that, swiping up. And again, if you go home, it takes you right back to the lock screen. Now you can unlock the device by swiping your finger to the right with a passcode, or you could simply just put your finger on the home button and unlock it with the Touch ID sensor, which is their new feature. Now you can set that up going through settings. If you go to settings here and you go to general and passcode and finger, you can set that up through there, and you can set up multiple fingers. So that's an option right there. Now with the Galaxy S4, here's the thing with Android, guys. Android is very customizable. So whatever they give you out of the box doesn't necessarily have to be what you're going to be using on a day-to-day basis. So if you don't like the specific look or feel of TouchWiz or HTC Sense or even stock Android, there are so many different custom launchers that you could download in the Play Store for free that will help you alleviate that. So if you're looking for a different look or different feel, it's available. Now this is, you don't need root. If you want to root your device and flash a custom ROM, that's a completely different story. But if you just don't like the look, then you can always go ahead and change it. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and look at some of these features that the Galaxy S4 comes with. Now, are they useful features? That's the question everybody keeps asking. Are these features worth purchasing the S4 for? Now, you have multi-window, air view, air gesture, smart stay, smart pause, smart scroll, etc. So what is all that? What does all that exactly do? What does it mean? Well, let me go ahead and show you guys. If I go to the browser here, alright, that's Voro's hand right there. Thank you, Voro. Alright, so if we're in the browser right now, right, so we got 4G LTE connectivity, but it's fairly slow here in my area. But okay, you can see right here I'm on Technability, right? So it doesn't even have to load yet. And I could just scroll with my hand. Now, you guys may not think that that's a useful feature, but honestly, this is really cool. I'm a big fan of this feature. This is just a really cool feature, okay? You can see that. See how it's scrolling? I mean, it's pretty accurate too, guys. Right there, right? You can see how to scroll. And you also have eye scroll. Let me show you guys how that works. So Let me show you guys how iScroll works here. So if I'm looking at it, right, and I got to be a little bit more closer here. So if I'm looking at it and I move my eye up, the eye-scrolling feature right there. You guys can see how that works. So basically, you look at the little sensor right here above the proximity sensor, look straight at it, move your head up or down, and it'll actually scroll the screen for you. And again, you can see how this works right here. And this works in the gallery as well. Alright, so you can see that. And of course, you can pinch and whatnot. And the browser is really, really smooth and really good in this on the Galaxy S4. It's very smooth, very fluid. You can just kind of pinch in and move around the screen. Of course, you have the various tabs, which are touchwiz tabs. Alright, so you can see the tabs right here. I could swipe them away. I can add another tab. Alright, so I could just go ahead and bring this up here. You got incognito tabs as well, so you can add an incognito tab if you want. You can see incognito window. Alright. Swipe that away, bring back the website. Obviously you can go back. You have multi-window right here, which is another cool feature. So if I'm in the browser, I could click on Maps, for example. Okay, and you can see how this works. If I just take the internet, for example, and drag it out here, I got multi-window. So that's cool. It's a 5-inch screen. It becomes useful. And again, everything's still smooth. So you still got the whole pinch zoom going on here. Obviously you have maps right here, so you can navigate to wherever you want to go. So it's a convenient feature. I do like the multi-window, especially for a screen 5 inches. It's a nice feature, and obviously you could just kind of bring it up if you want, and you can bring it down. So you have various different features. You could flip them over. You can X out of it. You could share it, and then you can just go home as such. All right, we'll go through some of the other features as well in a second. All right, just to go through iOS here real quick and some of the iOS features that you get. Now, you have accessibility options here with iOS. So you do have various accessibility options. And you can see if I want to, for example, if I want to increase contrast, it takes away the whole transparency. So there's no more transparency by just simply increasing the contrast. Now, if I turn that back off, you can see it's transparent once again. And you have a gesture-based system here. So now, if I'm in the settings or I'm in the browser and I want to just go back, I could just gesture back. Just gesture back. It's very simple. Very simple. You can see large type. You can actually increase that the size of that. You got reduce motion, which motion right here, what that is you can see this whole little like 3D thing going on here with the home screen. So you got the reduce motion. I like to turn that off personally, but you can leave that on if you want. You got on and off labels. Okay, you can see how that works right here. So you got on off labels. And you got hearing options as well. You got guided access. You got physical and moto, switch control, assistive touch. You got home click speed, which is cool. You can do default, slow, slowest. You got incoming calls, default headset speaker, accessibility shortcut. And again, I could just simply gesture back, and it takes me right back to where I want to get to. And you got date and time options, obviously. Keyboard options as well, which are fairly common. A lot of people don't really mess with those out of the box. And of course, you got the various wallpapers. You can see here they've added new wallpapers on iOS 7. So you can see these various new wallpapers, and you also have live wallpapers now, which you also have on Android. So if I go here and I go to set wallpaper and I go to home and lock screen, you can see live wallpapers. And look at phase beam, right? Very similar, aren't they? A little bit darker on the S4, but again, that's a Super AMOLED thing as well because the blacks are a little bit blacker. So you can see right there, it's a brighter theme here on iOS 7. Whereas with the Galaxy S4, it's bright, but you can kind of adjust it to whatever it is you'd like, and you can do the same with iOS. And the thing with iOS is that if you have a really light background, the text will actually turn black. Let me actually show you guys how that works here real quick. So if I was to just go back to, let's say, a very light background. All right, if I could find the picture here. All right, there we go. Okay, so you can see this image right here. If I was to use it as wallpaper, set both, go home, the text is now black. Alright, so you can see how that works right there, guys. Alright, let's go ahead and look at some of the apps on each. Actually, let's do some speed tests. And before we do that, let's go ahead and look at the multitasking on both. Oops. Alright, you can see the multitasking on touchwiz. It's similar to what you get with stock Android. You could swipe them away one by one, or you could simply just X them out altogether. With iOS, you can't X them all out at once, but you could just simply swipe up 3 at a time, and you could eliminate them all. Alright, so you can see that right there. Let's go ahead and change the wallpaper back to what it was. Actually, let's see. Alright, we'll use this generic one right here. Okay, let's go ahead and do some speed tests here. Let's go ahead and open the camera. Alright, so they were about equal on the camera end. Let's go ahead and open gallery. Okay, so again about equal. Alright, let's go ahead and open Google Maps. Alright, so Galaxy S4 was a little bit faster there. Let's go ahead and open settings. Just do it from there. Okay, so get settings obviously. Now the thing is, obviously both it depends on what kind of experience you want. Do you want a viewing experience on a larger display, or yeah, I mean really a viewing of a YouTube video on the iPhone is a pleasurable experience. It's a good experience. There's nothing wrong with it. Even though it's only a 4-inch display, it's still a good experience. Now obviously if you see let me go ahead and show you guys something with YouTube. Now the thing is, you have the Smart Stay feature. So if you're not looking at the screen, the video is going to pause. Okay, so if you got to be looking at the screen for the video to actually be playing, which is cool because if you look away or you fall asleep or something, the video will pause where you were at. So that's a nice feature. And you also have the air view. Just to show you guys the air view, you have the air view here on email as well. Look at that. That's cool, right? Air view is in the email and it's in the gallery. So I can open something, I can pinch in, pinch out. You can see I can just kind of drag my finger over it, and it'll actually give you a little bit of a preview what the email is going to read. That's a cool little feature, right? And with iOS, obviously you have their very normal mail app. You can obviously download various third-party mail apps. You could do that manually if you want, but you can see mail app is fairly commonplace. So that's basically everything I wanted to cover for part 1. We do have a part 2 coming. You know, it's going to cover everything else that we didn't cover here today, including the camera, the photo gallery, sharing options, Google Now versus Siri, which I know you guys are excited to see, and anything else that we haven't covered, including the App Store, Play Store, and coming to a conclusion on, you know, which phone is better, or if either or is better than one another, if they're equal, if you have a certain preference. You know, we just want to make sure that owners who have a Galaxy S4, owners of the iPhone 5S, understand that their device is perfectly fine for them. And really, there's no need to have to feel like you're missing out on anything, because again, both these devices are very similar in many ways. So watch part 2. We're going to cover some other details in depth, in comprehensive detail. Again, I'm Berge. This is Technability. Check us out at technability.com. You go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well. We're going to go ahead and post all sorts of different reviews and comparisons. So look out for those. Also look out for part 2. And have a nice day, guys. Thank you for watching.